Good morning, everybody. We are going to start, so please, everybody, go to the room and take a seat. Good morning, welcome, and thank you to be here today to close You&Eu project. It's almost 3 years since we started thinking about this project. This meeting between European Union Frankfurt, Benaguasil City Council, and Finova about an idea today are an ended project. So congratulations for that. Personally, I can imagine a better place and a better agenda to celebrate it. You&Eu coming together, that is the name of this project, was born in 2029, considering the Eurobarometer's latest survey about youth that highlights the need for a approach between the European Union and youth. 55% of the people who respond to the survey said that they don't understand much or anything about the youth. After 2 years, I hope that the people who are here, you now understand better the European Union and you feel closer to the EU. Similarly, the project aims to fight against youth unemployment that was in 2021 and is a priority to the EU. Within the framework of You&Eu, within this framework, You&Eu project have the objective to bring young people closer to Europe, increase their understanding of the European relevance to their life, and foster a sense of European belonging through opportunities and better communication. During these 2 years, almost 100 young people from the 3 organizations have the opportunity to discover the EU priorities, travel and meet people from other countries, know the opportunity they can have in the European Union, and contribute with their opinion to a better approach of youth. I could go on for a long time about all that we have done in this project, but I don't want to take too long. So I'll give way to the representative of the 3 organizations that make up the consortium. We have here Juan Manuel Revuelta from Finova, Klaus Klipp from European Union Frankfurt, and Stefan Soriano from Benaguasil City Council. Once you are working in this project, we can imagine your commitment and the commitment of the organization you represent today to youth. But we would like to know your conclusions about your participation in this project, the importance of youth, and next steps. So please, the floor is yours.
Who has the floor?
Me. Thank you very much, Patricia. And I want to congratulate Patricia for the excellent work they have been doing in the last 2 years coordinating this project, where we are very proud. For the Finova Foundation, young people is a priority. Why? Because it's the future. The future of Europe is we can build bases in young people. And we have a lot of challenges for the young people. I don't know, what do you think? We have a lot of young people in this meeting room, but we have suffered 2 difficult years with COVID. Some young people, they were not able to have their presential training periods that is mandatory to have to finish to have the official title of in the university or in vocational training. Of course, 2 years where we have had a lot of limitations in our social relation, in our development, in our travel. Okay. The good news is that COVID is not with us, or not as before. No one is talking about COVID. We have forget. We wanted to forget. Okay, what we have to understand is that we have difficult figures. For example, just in Spain, we have around 1 million of young people from 18 years old up to 30 years old that they don't study, they don't work. So the so-called minis. And it's a challenge. Just 30% of them are in the official service of employment. At the same time, European Union has developed this youth guarantee tool to try to guarantee young people to have a professional experience to start to work as soon as possible. But okay, we have other challenges. What about the when we see the figures of the young people that need psychological assistance, or people that has the people even in most of the countries, suicides is one of the is the reason, because we have a lot of casualties, more than traffic accidents, etc. Then we have a lot of challenge, perhaps because with the use of the social networks, or what is hate, harassment, or fake news, also is not just in the university or at the school. We see how in the last weeks, and it's really dangerous, how very young people, even teenagers, has suicided because they are suffering this violence, psychological violence at the school. Anyway, we have been working in the last 2 years with a very active municipality in the region of Valencia. I want to congratulate Benaguasil, a municipality, a rural municipality that they have around 10,000 inhabitants, but they are the proof that it's not a question of size, but it's a question of political commitment to the European Union values. That is the case of Benaguasil, that has been participating. I think you have 5 projects approved or more. 5 projects, 5 European Union projects approved with 10,000. Okay, congratulations. And I think Benaguasil is showing other local governments the way of participating in European Union projects, and also offering a lot of opportunities for the young people from Benaguasil for understanding how the European Union works, how to understand the legislation, why to do training periods into the European Commission. And we have also the privilege of having European Union. We have this movement of federalism that how many years? More than 50 years?
No, more than 70, 75.
75 years. Not him, eh? But Klaus Klipp is he's based in Frankfurt, and he's someone that is very committed with the European Union building and his values. We have been working with other responsibilities.
We know each other more than 20 years. Okay.
More than 20 years working. We have organized summer schools for young people with the challenge of water. We have been doing a lot of things with different responsibilities. Then for us it's an honor to have this brain, an important brain, Deutsche Leute, Quadratkopf-Leute, but open, okay, here with us, because also it's quite inspiring what we have been doing when we have visiting Frankfurt. And okay, now we have the sadness that is a project that is concluding, but we hope to have the basis for new cooperation, because we have learned a lot. And that's it. And then I would like to who is talking after me?
Klaus. Okay, please. All right. Thank you, Holmer. Thank you, Stefan. First of all, thank you for cooperating in the project. It was a pleasure to do it. And I think there were really a number of things that we have taken from this project. Let me just shortly say I'm representing Europa Union Frankfurt. If you don't follow us on Instagram, check on Instagram. Europa Union Frankfurt is really interesting to see. It's an organization pushing for a stronger federal European Union, okay? In the context of this project, I think there were two major things. One thing, we realized that who owns European Union? What do you think who owns European Union? It's the 450 million citizens who live in the European Union. They are the owners. And we need to treat owners like they are the owners of a business. So everybody living in Europe, every citizen, every European citizen has a vote. And we need to see that we relate to every person on the street when we speak about Europe. It's not an academic exercise, it is something that concerns everybody. And that is really, really important to look at and to understand. I think the second point is what we learned, which is opposite to what we do here. If you want to talk about Europe, we shouldn't speak about it, but we should do it in a practical way. So we have some very practical examples that we took from our different meetings. Less frontal, one-way teaching. So basically working together in groups, doing games, doing exercises. That's a way how people engage. That's the way how people get interested. That's the way we have seen that. We have been talking about human rights and not giving a lecture, but playing a game. It's a German thing, and I'm sure you know it, called quiet post, quiet mail. You whisper a word into the ear of someone who whispered it to the next person, and then after 10 people, you see what is the result. And then people started laughing about it because it was, of course, a different word. And then all of a sudden, what does this word mean? What does the other word mean? What is the meaning for human rights, and so on and so on. So this is a kind of way to, even a complex issue like human rights, to put it on the table and to deal with it. Another one is, these playful playing games, what I just mentioned already. And we noticed also something, again, what we are not doing here today. It's cool if the moderators are about the age of the people who are participating. So the moderators should be very young. We had a vice mayor. Okay, sorry. We had a vice mayor of Frankfurt who was the age of the participants, and they wanted to know how did you become a vice mayor, and what are you doing, and how is that related to Europe? So we could completely lean back, and there was a discussion going on, and people were learning at this time. This is a great way, I think, also to address European issues. And then the other point is, you have learned that at school, I'm sure, and at university, someone is telling you something, and at the same time you're Googling. You do your own research. And that is a different way of communicating. You sit together with people, you discuss, you talk, at the same time you look it up on the internet, you get your own opinion about it. And that is also something that is creating kind of like a buzz, and it's creating interest in the subject. So these are the major takeaways that we have seen from the perspectives of Frankfurt on this event. And we were happy for the contacts. We're happy to hopefully continue working together with Finova. And let me just finish here. Thank you.
If I may, perhaps we can announce they have a very new, beautiful building in Frankfurt.
Yes. When you come, in case you come to Frankfurt, show up at Massiv Central. It's an event location. It's a bar. It's a cafe. It's everything. And upstairs we have also an office there. So in case you are going to Frankfurt, go there. Let us know that you are coming. Okay?
And not only that, for the people that is following us by streaming, and perhaps some of you. Okay, I have convinced him, it was not so hard, this in a coffee, for him to host young people, trainees from Spain or from any country in Frankfurt. in that organization. Then,
so if someone wants to do an internship with us, let us know. We can arrange that. That's possible. Okay.
in Frankfurt.
In Francoforte. Okay. And the place is really nice. It's worth. You'll see. Okay.
Okay, so before finish the first panel, Stefan.
Bueno, ¿qué tal? Vamos a la segunda parte después del café. Yo dar las gracias a Juanma, que sabe además el cariño especial, que por si no lo sabéis, él ha sido, además, si no me equivoco, director general de la Generalitat Valenciana, también en materia de fondos europeos, y Juan también, con lo cual son referencia en la Comunidad Valenciana en materia de proyectos europeos, y me temo que se están fijando mucho en los dos para el futuro de la comunidad. Ellos lo saben, ¿eh?
Juan fue director general de fondos europeos en Hacienda, es un crack. Bueno, antes nos conocimos en el año 95, aquí en Bruselas. Él venía a trabajar en la Comisión Europea en la gestión del programa Leonardo, que hoy se ha incluido en Erasmus, y donde estuvo 7 años y medio, hasta que su inteligente mujer decidió que se vivía mejor en Valencia, que había paella y estas cosas, ¿no? Y yo nunca he sido director general de fondos europeos, yo he sido director de la Fundación Comunidad Valenciana Región Europea y de la Oficina de la Comunidad Valenciana del presidente. Son dos posiciones distintas.
Pero bueno, lo importante es que se están fijando en ellos para el devenir de los próximos 4 o 8 años, así que hacerles mucho caso, y tomar buena nota de ello, porque si sois muchos aquí, igual tocará hacer también ese AVE Bruselas-Valencia.
Estamos encantados en Bruselas.
Oye, y muchas gracias también a Klaus, merci beaucoup Klaus, por su hospitalidad y además por esa conexión también entre Frankfurt y Benaguacil. Benaguacil, yo siempre lo digo, es capital del mundo, para quien no lo conozca.
Pourquoi pas en français?
Ah, bon, on fait en français.
Oui, s'il vous plaît.
Ben alors, merci beaucoup Klaus pour ton hospitalité, surtout pour la connexion.
Parce qu'il parle français,
ouais,
même si
ça.
c'est allemand, oui.
Ben, ça, c'est l'ex-franco-allemand qu'on a entre nos deux pays. Non, surtout remercier le traitement que Klaus a eu avec Benaguacil, avec notre municipalité, et surtout de pouvoir, on a établi une connexion qui va plus haut de la participation. Surtout, on est en train de travailler maintenant avec un nouveau projet aussi de participation, mais dans les moyens de communication pour communiquer mieux et surtout d'une manière aussi vraie ce qui arrive dans l'Union européenne, surtout aux municipalités plus petites. Et pour la part de Benaguacil, je crois que c'est tout. Un grand merci et on espère des prochaines collaborations.
Moltes gracias.
So thank you for your participation in the project, for your work for these 2 years, and also for belief in the potential of young people to improve young situation and to work with and for youth. So now I will ask my colleague Raúl to take the
Okay, hello everybody. First, thanks our representative of the Partnership Consortium for their speech. And afterward, I would like to move to the second panel, which is titled, Is Youth Important for the European Union Institution? How the European Union should take youth into account. So for this panel, we are delighted to have the presence of 3 representation of the European institution, namely the European Parliament, the European Commission, and the European Economic and Social Committee. Our first speaker will be Ms. Tatiana. Well, I would like to call to the table, please, Ms. Nair. Would you like to join us? And we are waiting Mr. Livio Lumbeck. I don't know if maybe he's in the hall. And we have online Ms. Tatiana Brabuskiene, which is going to be the first speaker. I don't know, if Eduardo, if you could show us Ms. Tatiana.
As people are at the end of the panel, maybe we can start.
Okay, perfect. So, okay, I will. What do you prefer? You want to sit down? Unless, okay. Hello, Tatiana. Hi.
Hello, hi, and
Hello.
thank you, of course, for inviting.
We are.
I'm sorry to be just online, but it happens.
No problem. We are delighted to have Ms. Tatiana with us. She's member of the worker group of the European Economic and Social Committee. Tatiana is from the Lithuanian Trade Union Confederation for 18 years. Thus, she has developed a long experience in trade union framework. She belongs to the committee since 2015, and she develops a pivotal role in the committee, where she takes part in different commissions, namely Workers' Voice for more democratic participation, or such as a Committee on Rule of Procedure. She's enthusiastic of education and training, and youth and sustainable development. Please, Ms. Tatiana, we are delighted to having you here. We are listening to you.
Thank you, Raul, and thank you for this nice introduction. Actually, I listened a little bit to the previous panelists, and I was delighted that the focus of the project, also the discussions today, are very sharp on answering the questions: who owns the European Union, who speaks on behalf of the European Union, and how to be engaged and why it's important. Also, that I liked from the Spanish representative pointing out that the COVID pandemic consequences are still there, and there are also uncertainty of the war in Ukraine happening now, ongoing climate crisis. Therefore, young people remain actually there in the center of all the policies of the European Union. And when it comes to the institutions, when it comes, for example, to our committee, the realization that young people, their creativity, their energy, their enthusiasm are the driving force for the European Union. Without young people, without their engagement, we are simply stuck. Probably that's why European project, when it started so enthusiastically in the beginning, was continuing very, let's say, lacking maybe dynamism, because we forgot that young people should be everywhere. And the European Economic and Social Committee, which usually is called the House of Civil Society, because it genuinely already has the youth organizations in. We have so-called 3 groups. The first group is a group of employers. The second is a workers group, or trade union group, which is my group. And the third group is the group of various non-governmental organizations, like women, like youth, like volunteers, like people with disabilities, farmers, consumers, and there are a lot of interests in this group. So what the European Economic and Social Committee, or when it started to focus on young people, I would say the shifting probably happened in 2019, when we put the strategy 2019-2027 and called for cross-sectoral approach, taking a holistic view on young people, their needs and rights. And then we emphasized that the European Economic and Social Committee it is convinced that youth involvement in decision-making process should be promoted beyond on-off events. Moreover, on further developing the youth dialogue, the role of youth voluntary organizations and national youth councils needs to be improved and additional avenues utilized. And the European Union institutions should take the lead in this regard, with the European Economic and Social Committee being at the forefront of institution enhancing youth involvement at EU level. And for some years now, the European Economic and Social Committee has been working, focusing very strongly on how to better integrate the voice of young people in its work on the daily basis, and also on the EU decision making, which is kind of the process which takes place. And that should happen in a very structural and meaningful way. So that's because we are covering different dimensions when we are dealing with the opinions. We're requested by the European Commission, European Council, and give also to the European Parliament our opinion on various matters. And that starts from, let's say, Arctic policy to maybe some small consumer interest, like use of this or that product, or it can be strategy like skill strategy, or it can be also employment or economic or whatsoever. So this is something which is very difficult to even explain in one day discussion, the scope of issues the ESC is dealing. Whenever, however, we are providing our opinion, we are trying to include the position of the youth organization, and also include the role of the young people in this or another process. So, for example, we were insisting on the youth inclusion and the development of national recovery plans, and we called for better involvement of youth organizations in the implementation and monitoring phases of the plans and decision-making processes. And it's all not only when we speak about the European Union, of course, the interests of the European Union are broader. Recently, we are focusing a lot on the Western Balkans, where the ESC invites the European Union to further support the Western Balkans in improving youth participation. Unfortunately, in some of the Western Balkan countries, let's say, cultural or traditional things prevent from involving young people, especially women, to any kind of some kind of political bodies. So we try to mainstream the youth perspective in all fields, policy fields in the European Union, and also probably you are well aware about the youth test, which includes concrete recommendations and proposals. And we welcome the proposal to designate, of course, the year 2022 to the youth, but to have 1 year of focusing on youth, that's not enough. It's something like very dynamic in 1 year, and slowly, let's say, replaced, for instance, by another year, thematic year, like this year of skills, another topic which is, let's say, hot topic and very important for everyone. So we don't want youth disappear from agenda. Therefore, we established the coordination group for the European Year of Youth, which became the permanent group. Now this group got a mandate to continue. So every year will be the youth year, and this group will be monitoring that the youth is not escaping from the let's say, radar of any process we do. So we also prepared a draft resolution and called the EU institution and national governments to secure the long-lasting legacy of the European Year of Youth. So all the outcomes, all the proposals, all the initiatives should become permanent and promote this meaningful and structured youth engagement and policy making and decision making at all levels. When we speak about EU, it's not just EU institutions. It's when we speak about the European Union, it's a member states level as well, where we need young people be active at also various regional, local, national levels. I would mention, of course, elections. Young people usually are reluctant to participate in the elections because they believe this should be more experienced or, let's say, deserved the candidates. But the practices show that that the young people actually are very successful in the elections, and that they are supported widely by the society. So just desire, and I hope that that will be also maybe some paradigm shift changing, that we will see more and more young faces among the politicians. And of course, as I always, when I speak about young people, I remember Franklin Roosevelt, who said, we cannot always build the future for our youth, but we can build our youth for the future. And I think this is the most important thing, because even we say that whatever we are designing today, it will have impact on the young people in the future. First and most is that these young people should be prepared to live in this future. And this is the mission of all the institutions. And I'm happy that the committee is a strong belief that civil society organizations, in particular youth organizations, are crucial to identifying innovative participatory instruments to mainstream youth perspectives. Because even we say that, especially when we say there is no culture, there is no tradition of this, why not to innovate? Why not to see how these participatory instruments can be developed, and how the existing organizations or partnerships, let's say like your project, for instance, how you can also strengthen this active citizenship. And that was mentioned also by the previous panelists, safeguarding basic human rights, democratic values for young people, because we are constantly under attack. You see each elections in the countries, south, north, east, west, doesn't matter. We always are looking at this populist and parties which are coming, promising everything, delivering nothing, and creating chaos, also putting a lot of negativity about the European Union itself. So we need young people who are creative, who have this critical thinking to safeguard these values. And of course, I personally regret a lot that the civil space for youth organizations has been shrinking, and that we observe, like in a wave, we see the focus of the skill of the youth here is there, and young people are more visible, and there are more activities, more projects, and then another wave comes, and it goes a little bit like, okay, maybe also you are not young forever. That's not a permanent status. It's something what should be also always in the minds of young people, that they on their own, they have to also be in contact with the younger generation, go to schools. I'm a fan of school, as Raul rightly pointed. I think that schools are very conservative institutions. They should open their door, and for young people, and you share your experience, you share your views, you share your ideas. with these children still in school, but those who will come to replace you in your position, your capacity as youth representatives. And of course, active participation of youth in policy making and decision making is vital if we want to build the future of Europe and build the vision that young people can connect to. Or as the European Economic and Social Committee do a lot, we include youth representatives to all the delegation, like UN delegation, COP meeting, and we hope that also the national delegations will, or you will encourage national delegations to do the same, to include youth representatives, to all the important international platforms where the decisions are made, or let's say where their policies shaped, and there the young people there should be there at this very moment when this decision are taken. And of course, there are many elements, many ingredients. Maybe I would say, may name 4 pillars, which for us are important. That would be co-creating youth-related initiatives, projects, events with youth organizations involved from the very beginning, as I have already mentioned. Then share this ownership of this initiative, projects, events, because once we involve, we want also to take together the responsibility that this is the desire of the young people. And of course, we need to strengthen the capacity of youth organizations. We can speak a lot about young people in active engagement, involvement, etc. But we have to remember that usually these organizations are, or let's say partnerships are based on this unsustainable funding via projects, via maybe some kind of initiatives. So we need to support the youth organizations with financial resources and adequate tools to participate. We need, of course, not to forget about follow-up processes. Once we are proposing the initiatives, as I said, we are involved into kind of shaping the future policies. We have to be in charge there also to follow up and to make it reality. And that goes, of course, beyond ad hoc meetings and mere just consultation process. This is not about consultation. This is about full participation. And I have already mentioned, we have this permanent group we established. You are always welcome to our committee to come there to have also your to express your concerns and maybe get information from this group. I'm not part of this group because I'm in the skills group, yeah, naturally. But we are, of course, in cooperation, and very strong cooperation, because I cannot separate skills and youth issues. Of course, skills are not just for youth; they're also for adults, or for the society as such, and also for the labor market. But youth is and will remain always in the center of any policies, including skills policy. And maybe to mention another thing for you, because I know my time is running, probably something which would be interesting for you. I was co-rapporteur of the opinion, the Youth Action Plan in EU External Action. And this is probably space for you also, if you think about the next idea, is about being involved into European Union activities outside the European Union, because we can build perfect world in the European Union and our member states and have nice oases. But we have to remember that the world around us is very unstable and shaky. Therefore, we need young people to cooperate with youth in other countries and continents, and sometimes like volunteers, sometimes also being part of the EU delegations. And here you, because you speak also languages, you are already have this experience, participatory experience at EU level, national level. So we need you for external action as well. So please look at possibilities, contact me, I will provide you more options, and I hope that also some representatives from the European Parliament will mention this. And it's not only about the Western Balkans I mentioned, also this is probably in the focus of the EU a lot, and a lot of activities happening there. This is also about candidate countries, about Ukraine, Moldova, Georgia, where we have to build stronger relationships. And once these countries join the European Union, I hope it will happen in the future. The organizations there should be also ready to take their lead and play their role. So this is something like I try to put in something not very let's say organized way, because I want to say a lot, and at the same time to point you out that my feeling, my personal experience is that maybe at the beginning I was a little bit skeptical that we will be able in the European Economic and Social Committee to really implement this, or let's say do this paradigm shift when we have used always and everywhere, just not to remind, oh, we forgot that to mention, oh, we should include that. It's like it's already very naturally happening, and this is something which is I don't know even how we were doing without that before, but this is at the same time thing which I see lacking at member states level. So we have always forget 3 dimensions. One is your home country, another is our home country, which is European Union, and then let's not forget about the globe, because only when we are balancing all these levels, we can ensure that our planet might be saved also from the catastrophic consequences of the climate changes, or constant threat of kind of nuclear things like it's happening now in the war situation from Russia. So I don't want, and you don't want to have these threats left for the future generations, for our kids. So let's solve the problems we can solve ourselves, and let's also mobilize the future generations that they can deal with the other issues, because there are always new things happening. Once we solve one problem, we know that something other is appearing. So I wish you also good luck with your event. Thank you again for inviting. I'm happy and I'm open for you also to receive your delegation to the European Economic and Social Committee, and to have closer cooperation, and thank you for, of course, for your initiatives and for your commitments, developing fantastic things like you are doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tatiana, for showing us to the youths that are attending the event that we are taking into account in the Social and Economic Committee, and also to point out your thought and the challenges that the European Union has now, such as the inclusion of youth, women, the environment change, and also thank you for encourage young people to be the leader of the future of the European Union throughout different initiatives such as the European Years of Skill. Thank you so much for attending us and for your magnificent work. Okay, thank you, Tatiana.
Thank you, Raul.
And now we are going to have Ms. Nair Carrera. I would like just to introduce herself. Ms. Nair, is currently Senior Digital Business Analyst at the Directorate General for Education and Culture in the European Commission. She's managing the pedagogical and educational strand of the Commission's initiative EU Code Week and the School Education Gateway. Besides, she is an educational expert in European projects for the last years, particularly focusing on innovative education, learning and digital communication, and also teacher training. She's passionate about education innovation. Thank you so much for having us.
Okay, good morning, everyone. How are you? How are you doing? You falling asleep? It's almost lunchtime, so usually at this time I always fall asleep, but let's try not to. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you so much to José Manuel for the invitation to be here. We're really pleased to see so many young people, among you, of course, who are really getting excited on this type of topics, which are not always the case. So for us, it's really important to attend these events and presentations and see that we are doing something for something, that you are already behind this. I would like to start this presentation by just reflecting a bit on this question. So in a world increasingly driven by technology, how do we make sure to equip young people with the skills needed to thrive in the digital age? This is a question that we are gonna reply during the presentation, but before we get to this question, I just wanna ask you something, also to see for myself who is in the room. So I'm gonna ask you to do some exercise today, and I'm gonna ask you to stand up if you work in the field of communication or if you have studied communication. This is very no, but you can keep standing up. Okay, perfect. Business administration and management. Have you studied this? Okay, you can keep standing. Okay, thank you. Graphic design. Have you studied? But you can stand up all the time. Yeah, please, just for a few more minutes. Graphic design. Okay. What about law? Is there any lawyer? You cannot be missed. Teaching or education? None? Oh, kind of? No?
Well, she's quite teacher, English teacher. So
stand up? Spotted.
Don't be shy, please.
And others, I put like software development, medicine, engineer. So all the rest of the people, whatever you do, please stand up. Okay. Now that you're all standing up, it's okay. So who can tell me what all these people have in common? A brave person, a brave young people, please. The teacher. What do you think that all these people have in common? What do you all have in common? Say, sorry?
A career.
A career, okay, that's good. That's good. Another thing, something a bit.
We all studied in higher education.
Okay. Something else? I'm getting some answers already.
I think we are all Europeans.
That's good. Okay, that's another. Okay, something else. All these degrees. So I mentioned communication, business, graphic design, law, teaching, medicine, whatever, any profession. What do these professions have in common?
They are affected by new changes.
Digital changes. I like this. Okay, something a bit more specific. Digital changes, and you can stand. You can sit down. Thank you. I'm just going to proceed with the presentation. So let's. Here I put like some of the tasks or responsibilities that usually these people have, no? So we have communication and we have use of digital channels, right? Business administration and management, use of project management tools, online collaboration and finance, and so on. Graphic design, digital illustration tools, law, digital tools for legal research, document management, and so on. Education, tools and platforms for online learning, virtual classrooms, and so on. What do you see here as a common trend and thing in between all these professions and of course you? Come on. The use of digital tools. So this is something that is more and more common nowadays. Now we cannot think about any type of profession that it actually doesn't use the digital tools in the space in the daily work, let's say. So they all use digital tools to improve, to be more efficient at work, to be better professionals, and to achieve better results. But this has not always been like that. When I studied, like many years ago. I did an English degree on English philology, so perhaps we did something similar. We didn't have any digital technologies, digital tools. I even had a computer. So I got my computer like at the end of my degree. So this was a bit of an issue. And there was no digital tools at all. So whenever you had to do degree, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but what do you do in your degree? Tell me.
I didn't really use digital things either, but
Okay.
I used books.
Books. You read books, right?
Yeah.
So we read like a bunch of books. If you want to prepare like to be a professional teacher, you have to study like 70, 80 topics, right? To master the content. Now this is not the case anymore. So there is no scenario of any profession, communicator, graphic designer, teacher, or whatever, who don't use the digital technology. So this is something that I really want to emphasize today because it's really key, and I want to put the focus on this because we are more and more asking to master this type of digital tools, digital technologies, but also different skills, right? Have you sometimes heard about the hard skills, soft skills? Rings a bell, right? So in any profession or any job that you want to apply to, they always, of course, check if you have some hard skills, but they also check soft skills. We're gonna see now what is the difference between those, in case some of you don't know. I'm sure you know, but just in case. So hard skills are the skills that we call the technical skills, right? So these are usually learned through education or hands-on experience. So this is what you get when you do a degree. When you learn a foreign language, when you, let's say, you use social media as well, this is considered a hard skill, programming language, and so on. And soft skills, on the contrary, it's like more interpersonal skills. So this is something that you are usually, it's perhaps sometimes innate. It's something that you're born with, or that you learn and develop throughout your life, right? Some examples of soft skills, we have them here. So resilience, leadership, teamwork, problem solving, critical thinking, time management, and so on and so on and so on. So there are quite a few. Why am I saying this? I think that hard skills and soft skills are really key today. It's something that we cannot fight against. It's there, and we really need to master, especially both of them. And when they are complementary to each other, they work better. Why am I saying this? So let's pretend we have this scenario one. You get a promotion in your job, and you become a team leader of an international team of people from different countries. So you have to speak in English. So let's say that this is the English teacher, so she knows it. She knows the English, let's say, but let's say that she's not so used to lead a team or to motivate others. So she doesn't really know how to approach the situation or to face the situation. So she's going to be struggling a bit in this scenario. Scenario two, you have a degree in business management. You start a new job, and the first day you get an assignment from your boss to deliver an urgent task in 1 hour. This is very common in I think, in all type of jobs. Deadline is, you get the assignment at 4, the deadline is usually at 3, so 1 hour before. And you have a degree in business management, which is really great, but you're not so used to working teams, you're not so used to deal with strict deadlines or cope with pressure. So what is going to happen? Who can tell me that? What is going to happen here in this scenario? Most likely.
Maybe you will get fired.
Yes, this is in the worst case scenario.
You
will get fired because you probably will not be able to deliver on time, and
You work without information.
You work without information. So it's not really ideal, right? To have some sort of hard skills and not include the soft skills to complement each other. So while technical expertise is essential, as I'm saying, it is really key to combine both skills, hard skills and soft skills, to actually truly empower the professional, right? This is the message that I want to pass on. In other words, and because we are approaching lunchtime, this is like wine and cheese. And because who doesn't like a glass of wine? Raise your hand if you love wine, please. Raise your hand. Okay. So isn't it true that when you have a really good glass of red wine, you are like, wow, this is really amazing. Then another day you have a piece of cheese, and you say, okay, well, this cheese is very good. It's really nice. And one day you decide to put together the cheese and the wine, and then what happens? It's like, whoa, right? This is like a really, really good thing. Like wine and cheese, they go really well together, so they are complementary to each other. So I just wanted to use this symbol to emphasize the need to combine both hard skills and soft skills. You like the symbol, right?
Yes.
Everybody did. And in case you're interested, this image is taken from this website, from this article, who wonders if red wine and cheese can protect cognitive function. I leave it there, that's for you to think about it and reflect about it. I'm not pushing for anything. So this is about soft skills and hard skills, and I'm here on behalf of my colleagues in the commission to reflect a bit and discuss with you and tell you that we're really here to help you, young people, to ensure that you actually get the skills that you need for the future to thrive in the digital world. Why we're doing this and how? Why was replied by Manuel Revuelta, he's not here now, at the very beginning when he was saying that youth is essential. Tatiana also mentioned that they're really in the center, and this is really true. So youth are really in the center of the European institutions, also in the Commission. We know that there is really a lack of skills, so of capability. So 58% of people, companies, who want to recruit digital specialists face challenges to do it. So they have the needs, but they cannot recruit these people because they don't find the people with the necessary skills. So this is really a problem, right? We see here that there is a huge gap in between the needs of skilled people and actually the people who can actually apply to these jobs. And for all these reasons, in the Digital Education Unit, they created the Digital Education Action Plan. So this is a plan that it's huge, it's massive. There are different actions aiming to tackle these and other challenges. I will not present all of them because we don't have that much time. But I just wanted to just quickly mention some of the topics or key themes that we actually work with. These are related, of course, with the actions that we have. So we have recently adopted a council recommendation package on digital education and skills. This was adopted in April, back in April. We also have blended learning approaches for primary and secondary education, digital education content, connectivity and digital equipment. We have Erasmus Plus projects and other, like for instance, your project You&Eu, it's part of Erasmus as well. We have Selfie and Selfie for teachers. Do you know Selfie, any of you?
Yeah.
Okay, but let's see if somebody else knows Selfie. No? Okay. Selfie is a photo, okay. And what else? Do you know Selfie, the tool?
I just know the tool by name.
You...
I know the name. I've heard about it.
Do you know maybe what it is?
Totally not.
Totally not. Nobody here knows what Selfie is. This is really a pity because I had like a very nice T-shirt to share if you know about Selfie. But since you're with your phones, would you mind checking quickly? And let's see who is the first one who gets the answer. So what is the Selfie tool? Who can tell me that quickly, very, very quickly? Because
she's already checking our digital skills.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a free customizable tool to help the school assist where they stand with learning in digital.
Congratulations, you got a T-shirt. Oh. Thank you. So this is what you get when you're quick with digital technologies. So it's a Selfie T-shirt. Okay, I've got more T-shirts and other gadgets for all of you guys. So don't worry if you don't get the T-shirt now. And I think this is a very relevant tool, especially if you're a teacher or if you work in a school. Maybe for you it's not super relevant, but I think that since we have teachers here, it's also good to know that this tool exists. It's actually a tool, an online tool that helps the school realize where they are in the use of digital technology. So basically, it's an online questionnaire that takes a selfie, if you can make the connection. And by replying to the questions, you get to see where you're good at, where you're bad at. So it tells you where your strengths, it tells you where you're lacking, right? The use of digital technologies. And then the idea is that you get a report at the end of the year, and school and teachers and students discuss the results, and they say, okay, we're lacking a bit infrastructure. So it's good that next year maybe we need to invest more on infrastructure. We should be having, I don't know, more software in the school. So next year you plan and modify things a bit in order to improve. Just wanted to make this point of selfie because I also have the selfie t-shirts and I thought it would be relevant. There is also another tool called Selfie for Teachers, which is quite similar, but instead of focusing on the school, it focuses on teachers as individuals. So you get to see, like, inside you, what is your take in the use of digital technologies in the classroom. Apart from this, in the European Commission, they also developed a couple of group of experts. They developed guidelines for teachers on artificial intelligence and digital citizenship and disinformation, which, if you're keen on these topics, I encourage you to check because I think it's very good and they're quite relevant. European Digital Skills Certificate, we're also working on digital opportunity traineeships. We're going to be talking about this now. Women participation in STEM. Is there any women here actually in that? What are you doing? What are you studying on? Maths. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, this is a problem when you have a room with 40 people and there's only one woman who have followed a STEM career. This is a problem, something that we actually need to tackle as well. Okay, so we wanted to focus on this as well. And the European Digital Education Hub, which is basically an initiative that puts together policymakers, teachers, experts, stakeholders in the field of education to discuss, brainstorm, and work together to improve a little bit. I want to focus on this action because I think this is what maybe is more relevant for you guys. So we have these digital opportunity traineeships, which is basically like paid internships in between 2 and 12 months. They will help you to develop some skills, ICT specific skills like cybersecurity, big data, machine learning, and so on, and capabilities for companies. So web design, digital marketing, software development, what kind of skills are these? Hard skills or soft skills? Hard skills are hard skills. Well, you were paying attention, that's good. And we have like a lot of students since 2018. So maybe this is something that you can check if you're keen to. You can also go to Frankfurt with Klaus. You can also apply to this traineeship and a few other examples that I'm gonna share with you now. Who knows the You&Eu hack? Somebody? Anybody in the room? No? Okay. Who's gonna check quickly, very quickly, what is the You&Eu hack? But it's here. But are you checking?
You&Eu hack is a grassroots movement that aims to foster innovation, collaboration, and creativity to drive positive.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Got another shirt. I'll give you another size. You can change the size afterwards. Okay, so indeed, this is an initiative also designed and thought for youth, where people like you can actually participate. The idea is to participate in online or offline hackathons that take place in a couple of days, where you get together with colleagues to build something with digital technologies to solve a challenge, right? It's something very interesting, at least to my opinion. And if you have never participated in one or follow one, maybe I encourage you to save the date. This year is happening between the 6th and 13th of November 2023. Now this is not working anymore. Okay. And what other opportunities does the European Commission offer to young people? There are a lot. I cannot really put a slide for everything that the Commission or everybody is doing. But I also have one slide on Code Week. Who knows what Code Week is? Phone, quickly, check. T-shirt.
A week to celebrate coding in Europe, encouraging citizens to learn more.
Can you stand up because I'm deaf? Sorry.
So, EU Code Week is a week to celebrate coding in Europe, encouraging citizens to learn more about technology and connecting communities.
Great, thank you. So, a really nice initiative. It's a grassroots initiative that started 2013. The idea is to bring coding and computational thinking to everybody, because of course the Commission knows that problem solving, critical thinking, all these type of skills are really key, as I was mentioning before. So the idea is a bit to foster that young people, teachers and students develop these skills from an early age already, right? So if you go to the page, if you're a teacher, and if you go to the page, you will find different resources and things that you can use to learn to how to create a game, build a game, make a program, an easy program on Scratch, and many other things that if you're interested in this topic, I really encourage you to check. Erasmus Plus, who has been in an Erasmus exchange? I don't have that many teachers, sorry. No, it's, no. Yes?
I participated, but the last year, no.
Okay, and where do you go?
I go to Italy.
Pizza, right? Pizza, you like pizza, right? Ah, you go next year. This
No,
is why you...
the last year.
Last year, okay. And where do you go? In Italy?
In Città di Castello, Perugia.
Okay. Somebody else who have been, yes?
I have been in Bordeaux.
Bordeaux, okay. And did you like it? Did you like the experience?
It was amazing.
What was the best thing of this exchange?
The multicultural atmosphere, exchanging ideas with people from all around the world was amazing.
Yeah, I think that everybody went. Did you fall in love with Erasmus? Personal question, but I just had to ask because it's
No, sorry. No.
almost no. Okay, well, many people fall in love with Erasmus, and then you see this couple, right? It's so, yeah, the baby Erasmus. Yeah, it's really common. But apart from falling in love, there are other things that you can also do if you participate in an exchange in Erasmus. There's a lot of money that they're investing in this type of initiative. So please use the initiative and make good use of the money, because it has really a lot of benefits. Some examples of opportunities: so youth exchange, youth works mobility, youth participation activities, Discover You. This is very nice. Did you participate in this?
No.
Okay. Did you know it?
No.
Okay, you will know it now. Cooperation partnerships, capacity building, and support for policy reform, European youth together. So this is are the examples of European Erasmus Plus actions that can actually take place in Discover You. Did you know Interrail? Does it ring a bell? Yes. Yes. So the Discover You, it's also a very good initiative. It gives you a free train pass for discovering Europe. And it's something that, of course, we also encourage you to do. Then we have this European Solidarity Corps. I will not talk much about this, but if you're interested in volunteering, please check also these
Cool.
initiatives.
It's nice.
This is nice. Did you do it?
My former trainee did it.
Okay.
And you can actually just be part of a volunteering project, and instead of going to whatever, like the schemes where you go to Africa and you pay a lot of money to start and build there, here you can go to communities, you can go to places inside of Europe where you can help projects. There are several projects, and the good thing is they cover your costs. So it means you go and work somewhere, you get an experience. So it's very inclusive. So everybody can take part. You write a motivation letter, but the good thing is there is no financial something financially that prohibits you to do it, which is sometimes something where they say with international studies, where they say, okay, Erasmus, the grant is not high enough, it's not accessible enough. This one really is. It's accessible to everybody because it covers travel costs like plane or train. And on the site itself, the organizations will always give you food, shelter. So it's really nice. And they have short projects, long projects. Yeah,
Thank you.
I really like the idea.
We're gonna sign up for this after this. He said it really, really well, so you have to sign up for this. No, but again, please seriously check all these type of initiatives that we have that are really good. There's also the Blue Book Traineeship program. If you don't know, I put it here also in case somebody is interested to apply to be a trainee in the Commission as well. 5 months traineeships and a lot of things to be learned. I will not stop because I am running out of time. And I added here like many more resources or website that might be interesting for you. You can share the presentation, so it's fine. No need to take pictures. And I know it's not easy. Sometimes I know it's hard, but I really encourage you to go out from your comfort zone, take Erasmus, participate in a Solidarity Corps initiative or anything that actually allows you to grow, because you will be growing not only personally but also professionally, and you will be developing without even realizing these kind of skills that are really so important nowadays. So thank you very much. I encourage you to keep learning always, all the time, never stop learning. And if you want to tweet about this presentation, tweet it. If you want to have a glass of wine and cheese, tweet it. And if you have any question, this is the most important thing, you can always reach out to me, Twitter, or in this email address. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your slide. It's been
sorry, Anna, I'm gonna leave this here so you can take it.
Thank you for your present. And for all the opportunities that the European Commission has for youngsters. So now our third last panelist is Mr. Livio Lumbeck. He's currently Public Relations Officer for Directorate General Communication at the Belgian Liaison Office of the European Parliament. He has a degree in Business Management from Rennes School of Business, a Master in Management Science from the ECHCS Brussels Management School, and a Master in Communication Studies. Besides, he has worked as external consultant at the representation of the Commission in Belgium, and last but not least, he has been a full-time bartender for 3 years, who I believe it has helped
as a
him.
fun fact.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it has helped him to develop plenty of soft skills. So it's important to point out. Now he will talk briefly about.
I thought we were going to be part of a panel, so I didn't get any slides, but I have a presentation on my Google Drive if necessary. That might be nice. But
sorry.
If I can get the presentation up, like just by Google Drive, I have one, like a standard one. I can always use that. If we still have time, I can put it up in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, okay, whatever you want.
That's maybe better than we have something to.
In the meantime, we can give the presents to the people, maybe.
Voila, that's a perfect
Okay.
So please come here to take your presents, because so there are a few shirts left. Some You&Me drives.
Are there bigger ones?
Check. This is bigger, but there are not that many sizes. Sorry. I hope this will work. Esos son pen drives. Colgadores hay pocos.
Mira, battery.
O sea, somos muchos, luego hay todo. O sea, con una cosa ya captaron.
Porque no hay uno para todos. Es uno de cada. Si no funcionan los USB, me lo decís y nos ponemos en contacto y estoy otra cosa, ¿vale?
Vale, gracias.
La presentación ha sido súper interesante.
Bueno, gracias. Me alegro. Si tenéis alguna pregunta o lo que sea.
Me ha parecido interesante el voluntariado.
Es que hay un montón de cosas y lo malo es que no siempre la información llega a la gente, bueno, ni a los jóvenes ni a los adultos tampoco muchas veces. Es difícil. Claro, es importante. Está mal ya. Pero bueno, está
It's working. Voila, I have a presentation. At least I have my working place at the.
Y probar, ¿no? Al final.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so sorry. Thank you for helping me out for this short moment. So I'm just going to use this presentation like it's a standard one that I normally use for high school students. As I work for the European Parliament, as you said, as a public relations officer. So a lot of my work is talking to people, is presenting the Parliament, what does the Parliament do, and to hope that in the end they are super happy about it, and that they love European democracy, and that they see the importance of voting, and that in the end they effectively go vote. So I work at the European Parliament. Of course, yeah, you know, we have 2 rooms, the Brussels ones, the Strasbourg ones. And let's present myself. As I said, yeah, I'm from Leuven. I don't know, maybe somebody did an Erasmus in Leuven? Yes, of course, you always have some of them. So this is where I worked as a bartender for 3 years before I went to study. So here is where I got my soft skills, where I learned how good wine and cheese go together, but also beer and cheese, of course. As a Belgian, I have to point that out. Specifically, I work for the Director General Communications, and then more specifically, I work in the Belgian Liaison Office. The Commission has representations. We also have local offices. So there's a Spanish Livio, there's a Swedish version of me, there is a Finnish version of me that does the same as me in all nation states. Member states. We also have a satellite one in Washington, and the one in the UK we decided not to leave. So we still have a presence there. So concretely, so this is my office. I think you know it's not far away, just down the street. Well, let's say that this is my office. So
which one?
I'm here in this room. So if you are pluxing, just wave from time to time. I can wave back. I see you. Watch out. If you still want to have a career in Europe. So that's really nice. We're there. I always say, bit as a metaphor, we're a little bit of an appendix too. So that's how we see each other. So that's how I see the bureau of the local bureaus. We have the satellites. We're an appendix, and we try to make the bridge between a very complicated structure, it's the same at the Commission, and with normal citizens, normal civilians, CSOs. So that's basically our day-to-day work. And then, of course, we have the elections now coming up in 2024, who are, of course, very important for us because this is a bit of the biggest or the most important KPI we have in a way is like who votes, and then more importantly for the political parties, of course, who did they vote for? Okay, so very quickly going to go through this. This is like the general thing I have in there for the high school students. More importantly, I'm just going to show you certain narratives that I am using. So this is the parliament, the seats. I guess most of you know this, that it is not by nationality, but that it is by party. This is a bit how it goes in the parliament at the moment. Most important thing to say about this is that this shows a bit, I think at the moment, the country I live in, Belgium, or the country that I have to talk about, this is quite representative. There are a lot of parties. So it means that at the moment, in a lot of member states, we see that it is coalition governments, and we see that it does not become easier. We see that the middle part, I think this is the first time that EPP had to take Renew Europe with them in 2019 to have a majority. So it means that like the traditional, like the middle is eroding, and more it's more difficult to make a government, to make decisions, to make long-lasting decisions. So I think this is something, the fact that you have a lot of parties scattered and that they are all a little bit at the same size, this is going to reflect again in 2024. We know that, or we think that this is going to increase this trend. And also we already know now that half of the members of parliament are going to be renewed. So it means that half of the members of parliament are going to be new members of parliament, newly elected, who have no experience in the European Parliament, which is for the European Parliament a big deal because it's a very complicated machine when you compare it to other types of government or other types of assemblies. So it's just, so these are some things we work on that I always talk about. So we have the universal charger, typical one. I think everybody knows that. Deforestation. So this is just a thing that I show. These are like the types of files that can appeal to young people. These are files that are impact daily life or that impact aspirations that they have. So it's to show that the things we decide on in the European Parliament are often topics where you immediately feel, okay, we as a country or a region, we're not big enough to solve this by our own. So it's good to have this European level. And I think that this is something also that is reflected. When you talk to young people, you see that they know that for environment, for climate, for a lot of topics, immediately they step themselves towards not per se European level, but towards a level where, okay, you need to do this together in a way. So that's a narrative that I always try to give them, and that this is the inspiration of the European project, is that in a way you say, okay, why let's do this together, because it's easier, it's better. In the end, the road towards it is often complicated, of course. So zero pollution, everything that goes about waste, single-use plastics, all these things that seem like, oh, it's normal, but of course they need to be decided on a European level, because of course every country by its own doesn't really have an impact. Also because we are one unified market, so everything that enters through our borders, in a way, that's where we can make the difference, because we know that we are very good at recycling. We are very good at using certain types of products. We are very good at setting standards, but it's often we are a resource-based economy. So we need to get products in, we need to buy products. By setting standards, we can decide how much waste is created in other countries, because indeed, if we see when we talk about plastics, we see that the plastics we are very good at managing it already, but then we see that in Asia, in Southeast Asia, there we see that there is a lot of problems when talking about pollution and plastics. Here, this is like the ambition that the parliament can have. Pesticide, nature restoration, which is now very topical at the moment, where you can see the council, parliament, the groups, where you can see the EPP. That's also a translation of these elections that are coming up. That's a translation of the fact that the basis for traditional parties are not that solid anymore. And you see that in this nature restoration law, you see a logic where certain parties are using legislation to try and change the way they were voting, because normally the EPP didn't have any problem whatsoever, and now we're close to the election. So you see that these national implications go further and have implications on the European level. European climate law. These are just some examples I take. Sorry, I just love them myself, so I'm talking too much about it. Okay, so what do I concretely do? I try to convince young people to vote. So the why vote? I tend to work more on narratives than to talk about institutions. I think institutions are often boring and do not speak to the general public. They do not live outside of the EU bubble. I can say, and then the proposal goes to the commission, then we have the second reading, and then the co-rapporteur comes in, and then this country says that, and then we have the proposal, and then they need to find a majority in the committee, and it gets passed, and then it can go back, and it's political techniques. It's only interesting if you're into politics. Like, let's be honest, most of us don't even, and I always say this, something, I hope it's not recorded, is like, I'm sure that if you would ask at European institution personnel, like, can you explain me the difference between the three institutions, or even what is the Council of Europe, the European Council, and the Council of Ministers, that even they, I don't know if we would have a majority of people being able to always give the right answer. So that's okay. The thing I need to provide to people, to normal citizens, to organizations, is a narrative, is a perspective, is something to believe in. Like, why is voting important? The vote as such, as a very abstract and also a very concrete concept, where at some point you just go to a room, you press a button, or you sign a card, and that's it, and it's done, and you have to wait for another 5 years to do it again. So just for the European context, as of course in Belgium, that's maybe something I have to highlight, we decided, or our government decided, for the European level to extend the voting age, to 60. This is something, a recommendation that has come out of the Conference on the Future of Europe, together with the Commission, and there officially the Parliament voted with the wish towards all the member states to enlarge voting rights to 16-year-olds, so that in the end all the member states will comply. At this moment, we have Greece at 17, and then we have Belgium, Malta, and on this map, you already have Austria, and now the Germans also joined. So at this moment, we have 5 member states where minors people younger than 18 have voting rights. Why is this important? Especially for the European Parliament, because we are making decisions about 2030, 2050, 2055. The decisions we are making now is about the world tomorrow. And the nature restoration law I was talking about, which is becoming very contested, and other legislation as well, when it comes to climate, when it comes to where do we want to go, you feel that what politicians do is build, or politicians, what different opinions do, it builds a wedge. Because some say it's too fast, and some say it's not fast enough. The idea of enlarging, I'll get to your question. Yeah, you can always ask questions. Is that at some point, if we enlarge the basis, we will maybe get them involved in the project at a younger age. And of course, you're going to get a bigger part of your society that's going to vote on something, which means there is a bigger democratic legitimacy. And especially for those decisions that are made 20, 30, 40 years in the future, if we look at the MEPs of MP, so that's in all national government, European governments, only 5% are younger than 30. So it means that the people that are taking the decisions about young people are not young themselves. So there is a wish, of course, for Parliament as well to that maybe this voting at 16 will also help to have a more, in a way, representative Parliament. Of course, a Parliament, that's not the goal. You vote and that's okay. But of course, we can see that it's not a one-on-one. But these things can change. This is a system change, saying from 18 to 16, this is changing something about voting law. If you change something about voting law, there is a motive behind it. Like it's not, it has an implication. You had a question?
Yes, but I mean, voting is very serious. You could vote to any political party that you want and have political representation. But what the results have shown when you decrease the age of voting is that, for example, far-right movements have won in Austria, and it usually leads to polarization and to parties that are not really European. So you have, it has a like a kind of side negative effect on what you're trying to build. So you want more European Union, you want stronger institutions, you want it to be more connected to the civil society and civil participation, but at the same time you have youngsters that are voting for extreme parties that don't want more integration, don't want more European Union, and don't want anything else. So I mean, young people that have to be engaged to what the project of the future, but you also need reason and also very well educated society in order, because it's a very high responsibility. I mean, you could vote to anyone that you want. I don't understand. And there is freedom of speech and democracy, and that's what is based the European Union. But it leads to the contrary effect that they actually want. So
I haven't read all the studies about Austria, of course, and I get what you say, that of course once you open up the vote, people can do with their vote what they want. I work for the administration, so for me the most important is voting. What they vote is none of my concern. If your reasoning is I vote for this party because I like the color, I'm okay with that. That's for me. I'm talking as a person, not per se what I am as in my role as a civil servant. The vote, democracy, the whole thing about saying this is democracy is that everybody can vote, no matter if you are educated, no matter if you have a degree, no matter if whatsoever. And I see a lot also when I talk to my national peers, to my regional peers, when you talk about with youth organizations, they say, oh, but are they prepared? Are they, will they be smart enough? Will they be educated enough? These are all arguments used at some other points when we changed voting law. For Belgium, 1948, we decided to take half of the population and say, maybe half of the population is very important to create a democratic basis. I'm sure that at that point, some people will also have argued, but are they educated enough with it? For me personally, that's not per se an argument. But of course, it is true, and that is what we saw in Austria. I think the one study that I read is that the share of 16 to 18-year-olds that went and voted in the same, at almost with no difference than the rest of the population. So they voted in line with their parents, in a way. So they were not more pro-European or more anti-European. They were not more pro-migration or not less. They just voted aligned with, which is okay. They're allowed to be citizens and vote. I think that's another discussion, and not per se a one that should be about, should we lower voting age, yes or no? Lowering the voting age is not about, do you like the voting results? That's for me another discussion. Personally speaking, because this is always with questions, it's very difficult water when you work for okay, finish. So just to show, like, globally only 2.8%, it's just to show. That's the thing I do. I do non-partisanly give narratives and to show young people, like, this is happening, this is people making decisions about you. So this is the situation we are in at the moment. Then we have the international context, Europe as a global player. Of course, this picture we know. I don't have to give any explanation. What I do like to show is democracy in the world. We are not the default system. Democracy is not about the individual vote. Democracy is about pluralism. The whole idea of the founding fathers was, let's get together, let's do things together, and that in the end, when you have a working democracy, when you have a strong democracy where institutions are divided, where judges are independently appointed, then you have a society where people are free, where a democracy is about minorities. A democracy is not about the 51%. That is not the idea of a democracy. A democracy is to divide power in a way and to make people accountable for the decisions they make as politicians, to have a society that works for as much people as possible. Or that is what I believe in, or that is what I, as a civil servant, work for. It's not a default system. And we have seen in the last 10 years, and especially, as you say as well, also inside of Europe, that this is contested. But we do see that in the strongest ones there, and when we see Scandinavia, we see that there is more gender equality. The pay gap is lower. We see that a lot of things that go well for a lot of people in society work best in those systems. It's just to show it's a system worth fighting for. I don't have to convince you, but I talk to all types of citizens. So these are narratives I give. This is the Belgian one. So for the Belgians, we added 270,000 young voters by adding them. First-time voters, 2000 to 2008, it's 0.9 million. They have a potential of 13% of the vote. So that means they would be the third biggest party. That's the impact they could have. And I think this will be the same in other countries in a way. If you add 16 to 18 and you say, okay, if you take that whole group and you take them as first-time voters, so it's a share of 8%, they have a big impact. That's what I try to show them. Like, guys, this is not just your vote. As a group, you are a big group. You can have a big impact. So that's voting at 16. Why? I always say it's a social issue. The thing that I said is, like, it's a social issue. It's about grouping together. It's about having a voice. The social issue, your vote is just at the end of something. It is, you are yourself constantly part of your society. I came by train. You are part of a youth group. You are here. By being here, you are being an active citizen. This is a social issue. The whole idea of minorities, of grouping yourself, of being able to voice your opinions. It is built in our system, and it is because of democracy. The fact that we have youth councils, the fact that we try to engage youth into participation, into decision participation, this is all part of this whole thing. And this is the reason why we want to have voting at 16, to increase that democratic basis. Also, the thing that I already talked about, 100 years ago, we said, oh, let's add all males. then, oh, let's not let it depend on the amount of taxes you pay. In 48, in Belgium, we said women. And now we said 16 to 18. These systems are not fixed. Your democracy is something that you can work on. It's not because your country is built in a way or that that's the way people are elected. It doesn't mean it cannot change. It is, and it is constantly changing. And of course, it's political parties. It's good for them to constantly try to change it because there's always a benefit to be found. But just to show them, like it's a process. Democracy is a process, an ongoing process, and you can always work on it. It can change for the better and for the worse.
Well, I have a question related as well with my colleague, with the question that he made, is that I know that you don't have any power on that, but maybe the people who are now 16, maybe they are not like really aware of the political issues that are going on in the European Union. Is there not any type of measure so as they are more aware of what's going on, so as they have like a more criteria on voting, like something, I don't know, this is happening right now, or this is some like minimum basis, just to let them know.
Okay, so it's a bit the chicken and the egg, and we decided to go for the chicken and then the egg, and then to see what's going to come out of the egg. We hope, of course, with 16, that people will be forced to talk about it, that teachers will be forced to talk about it, because it's going to seep into society, it's going to seep in educational programs, which are often already there. They have to talk about citizenship, they have to talk about political parties, political systems, but now when you make them voters, of course it's non-mandatory voting, so we don't force young people to go and vote. Even though Belgium, for example, has mandatory voting, it won't be the case for 16 to 18. Also because they have the philosophy of these 16 to 18 need to have they need to choose if they want to go and vote. So that's built in there. I'm gonna go, that's the whole thing that I said, it's more than yes or no. And then I just wanted to have this one. So what are we doing as a European Parliament? So how can you help? How can you help as youngsters? How can you help as people, part of organizations? How can you help as representatives? How can you help as individuals? How can you help as citizens in your school, in your football club, in your whatever? Of course, you can go and vote. But you can also reach out. If you want to organize something with your organization, if you are at university and you are part of a university club, if you are part of a debating club, if you are part of your youth council in your hometown, we are there. So the European liaison offices, we are there. We are in every country. You can just look us up. For me, I just always give my phone number. I don't really care. The whole strategy that the European Parliament has in voter activation for the 2024 campaign is about supporting people that are closer to people. Because I can say, I work in Brussels on Place Lux. It doesn't resonate outside of Brussels. It doesn't. We need organizations like this organization to talk, to go, because they are the ones closer connected to real people. So the whole campaign we have is peer-to-peer, and we are here to assist. That means also financially with microfinancing. That means if you would come up to me, I don't know if somebody here is living in Belgium and part of a youth organization. Okay. You can, oh yeah, we already met, you can go up to me and you can say, I have this wonderful idea where I want to have a debate and I want to have an MEP and I want to give this forum or platform. You can reach out to us, you can call me, or you can do it in the other member states. You just then change Belgium with your country or your capital, and you'll find us, you send the mail, and we'll try and figure out, like, is this a nice idea? And I can help and look for a location. I can think with you to find a speaker, but that's the whole thing. The whole thing is about, we acknowledge that our budget alone is not big enough. Secondly, HR wise, I cannot go and speak to 270,000 young people. So we need a multiplier and a network effect. That's how the whole campaign is going. And we have some engagement grants going on as well. We have some pan-European grants, and they all work on engaging, on getting more people, and on giving skills to young people to talk about registration, to talk about voting, and to be active in their own communities. So these are the countries where we're present. And then we have this platform, which is like together.eu, where you can put your own events on there. And this is the one that will open up the way you can talk to your Applo. so your liaison office. Once you are a member of this platform, you can send a mail to the liaison office and you can say, hey, I am a Together.eu volunteer and I want to organize something, or can you tell me about what you are doing? So it's just a very simple sign up, because of course we need some credentials, and there is you get like, I think a monthly mail, just like a newsletter. And of course we need your country and your language, then we know how we have to contact you and like which country you're interested in, where you live, of course. If you want, you can join, you can scan. There is you can then also add like your own organization. And from then on, when you send the mail to the employee, say, hey, I'm a Together.eu volunteer and I have a super nice ID, they will work for you, because honestly, we are waiting for you. I would like to do talks like this like every day. That's the most ideal situation. But that's in short and in concise and a bit too long, in very just human speech and not institutional speech. This is the strategy that the European Parliament is going to undertake, is to support local actions in the countries themselves by organizations who already have fixed bases and who have citizens and civilians close to them and who know how to approach them. So this peer-to-peer approach that we as civil servants never can co-create, never can create ourselves, but we have to co-create. If you are in Belgium and you want to organize an event on democracy, EU, elections, or you want to organize for your members of your organization training on social media, public speaking, participative democracy, and other super fun buzzwords, let me know. You can mail me, and yeah, you can WhatsApp me or call me, whatever. Normally it's 24/7 that I pick up my phone, or otherwise I'm sleeping or I'm in a meeting.
Thank you so much.
That's it. Thank you.
I'm sorry for taking too much time. No problem. Okay, thanks a lot for showing us the soul of the European Parliament and the inspiration of the European Union, indeed. Now, thank you all for attending us. Now we are going to the third panel. So, that is the last panel, and we are going. I want to call to stay with here, Mr. Alejandro and Ms. Julia Salavaras and Mr. Alberto Pastor, which is going to be part of the third panel titled Presentation of the Guide and Testimonies. Our first speaker is going to be Mr. Alejandro, which will speak which will present a short brief about the main result of the project and the guidelines.
Thank you all for being here, first of all. As my colleague Raul said, I am Alejandro Gutierrez Bram, and I work as a junior project officer here at Finova. What I'm going to do today is presenting the final You&Eu guide, which will serve as the main result of the project. It tends to be a tool where young people can find all the opportunities that EU offers them, and also all the good practices that have been carried out through the time for youth. This is the index. We have divided the guide into 4 pillars, which are an introduction and context, the opportunities themselves, good practices, and results and conclusions from the project. First of all, we have an introduction and context, which tends to justify and contextualize the guide. As my colleague Patricia Tejada said at the beginning of the event, the project comes up from the Eurobarometer of 2021. And from this poll, 3 partners from Spain, Belgium, and Frankfurt, named Benaguasil Town Hall, Finova, and Europe Frankfurt Union, create this project, who tends to enhance EU belonging sense, communication from EU to youth, and to show and evidence the EU youth opportunities. We follow with the opportunities for youth, which are aimed at the main goals of the European Union, which are tackling youth unemployment and enhancing employability, fostering cultural change and European identity, and building a skilled and resilient workforce, which would be youth. We divided also these opportunities following their idiosyncrasy, having participatory initiatives as the European Youth Event, which was carried out a few weeks ago, the 2023, the European Youth Week, and EU Youth Dialogue. Following, we have educational activities, Erasmus+, I think everyone here knows it, Erasmus+ Virtual Exchange, and Euroscola. We have also volunteering initiatives, as the European Solidarity Corps, previously explained by our colleague, EU8 volunteers, and Interreg volunteer youth, which will be explained by our partner Julia. We also have cultural and related activities, such as Discover EU, European Carleman Youth Prize, and Youth for Regions, and also green initiatives, as EU Teams for Greens. We follow with the most important, I think, or at least one of the most important part, which is employment initiatives, in which we find Youth Employment Initiative, EURES, Junior Professional Programs, EURDC Program, She Leads, Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs, and also we selected all the employment and traineeship offers in the European institutions, such as Blue Book, Schumann, or any other in every institution. Following this, we've got the good practices, where we define what is a good practice. It's an innovative idea, which have been previously implemented and are proven to be successful. This is very important to have in the guide, because having these good practices, we ensure 3 fundamental things when we apply our methods. Good practices can be a success guarantee, can respond to specific problems, and reduce general risk of our means. Also, we've got a section of implemented Erasmus Plus projects. All of them have 3 main topics, which are communication, youth, and EU involvement. So everyone who see the guide can reach these projects following these 3 topics. And also we've got European strategies such as EU Youth Strategy, which is currently active. The European Year of Youth, which took place last year. Together EU, that we have listened to it, and Eurodesk, where you can find all the projects that have been carried out during a lot of time ago. As I said, we selected communication, youth, and EU involvement, but you can find everything there. Finally, we have the section of results and conclusion, which have been built following our 3 previous activities from this activity. The first one was in Frankfurt. We talked about European funds, sustainability, and sustainability opportunities, and human rights. The activity in Benaguasil, where sorry, this is wrong. The activity in Benaguasil was about European funds, sustainability, and opportunities. The activity in Frankfurt, that was the first one, was about human rights, Green Deal, and digitalization. And the activity carried out in Brussels was about institutions, youth, and EU involvement. All of these activities had a common sense, which is the communication. We treated everything from the communication viewpoint. So in this way, the results and conclusions are aimed to these topics from the communication. The conclusions are not yet finished, because we have to add the conclusions from this activity. But the guide will be so useful because our participants had the opportunity to talk about the communication from their youth viewpoint. So we have strong and powerful conclusions and proposals to the European Union in general, which could be, for example, an inclusive communication, or maybe erasing age bridges between those that make communication and those who receive it. And that's all. I would like to thank you all, both online and presential participants here, and obviously our participants who are making speeches. So that's it.
So thank you, Alejandro, for this presentation of the final draft of our guide that we are going to complete with the conclusion we have for this today event, and also for the activities we are doing these days. Now, within the framework of this guide, you can see different opportunities young people have in the European Union. So now we are going to move to our last panel with 3 real testimony for people who are doing this traineeship. So firstly, Julia Salavaras, she's an Interreg volunteer youth. She's doing an Interreg volunteer youth, in the Conference of Peripheral Maritime Regions. So we look forward to hearing about you.
Thank you, Patricia. First of all, I wanted to thank Patricia for the invitation to this event. It's always good to to see what initiatives are being carried out with youth, especially in Europe. And so I'm here to present Interreg Volunteer Youth, but after the previous presentations about, especially the one about European Solidarity Corps, I decided to adapt a little bit my presentation, and instead of doing like a very long introduction of what IV is, I prefer to do a comparison so it's easier to understand. So I don't know if any of you already knew European Solidarity Corps. Are you familiar with the Interreg funding program from the EU? So basically it's something very similar, but instead of going to villages or cities and working the programs with you're more actively working in regional cooperation. So, for example, in my case, what I did was to work in the SAFER project, which is a project, an Interreg Atlantic Area project that focuses on improving the innovation performance of the seafood sector by increasing technology adoption and transnational cooperation. It seems very, very complicated, but don't you worry, 5 months ago, I was not aware of anything that had to do with the seafood industry, but my whole experience helped me through it, and now I can say that I know more or less about it. What is Interreg Volunteer Youth? So it is an initiative that was born back in 2017. It was created by the European Commission through their Interreg program to promote youth volunteering and European territorial cooperation. The Association of European Border Regions manages the IV program. And within IV, there are a lot of possibilities of participation in regional cooperation. There are two kinds of volunteering. So there's the IV project partner, which was the one I did, and the IV reporter. The project partner is more working on a single aspect or some activities in one particular project, and then the IV reporter is more you work with the authority that gives funding to projects, so you get a more overall perspective of what kind of projects can be funded. For example, I have one of my colleagues that's working with the Provence-Alpes-Côte d'Azur in the south of France, and she is overviewing how the projects are developing and mainly supporting with communication strategies. The activities a volunteer can carry out are very diverse from program to program and from experience to experience. There are some activities that are linked to communication, other ones that are focused on event planning. I did some of that. Or it can also be more research-related tasks, such as writing capitalization deliverable documents, like a policy toolkit, or participation in dissemination activities. It's still a little bit complicated to explain when you don't know really how the EU works. So I came up with a single sentence to try to explain it, and it's like an opportunity for young people to experience firsthand what territorial cooperation is, while also being an active actor of its development. So if I had to compare it to European Solidarity Corps, I would say that in this case, you're not only volunteering with them, but they are also listening to what you have to say. So it's not only a learning experience, but it's also like a professionalizing experience where you can speak your mind and you will be listened to. That's what was more interesting to me as a young person coming out of university and not knowing what I wanted to do. And more about my tasks. So I was able to organize an event for a 2-day event that is called the European Maritime Days, which was held in France. And it's a 2-day event where networking takes place with all the blue economy actors. And what we did was the organization of a workshop that was very interesting to see and to participate. And on the other hand, and my most important deliverable during my experience was the writing of a regional policy toolkit that will give some recommendations to institutions such as the Commission, the Parliament, and even institutions at regional level to try to improve the technology development and the innovation overall in the seafood sector. Finally, a personal note about my experience is that it is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, especially for young people like me and like all of you in the room, or yes, that are interested in developing European territorial cooperation. Following my cross-border cooperation studies and the internship I did to obtain my diploma, which was in a European grouping of territorial cooperation based in Jaca in Spain, this experience was perfect for me, not only to learn more things about European cooperation and how it truly works, but also to participate in the development of new ideas and see how they come to life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julia, to share your experience and also to give us Interreg volunteer youth closer to us, because maybe some of us didn't know before, and it's better to know about the experience. So now we are moving to Erasmus program. I think all of you know the Erasmus program, but we want to share with you and with the people who are following us online to experience about the program by the hand of Raúl Cortés and Alberto Pastor. Raúl will tell us about his experience studying in Poland, and Alberto are going to tell us about his experience doing an Erasmus practice. We choose Alberto for this panel, and I think it's important to know he's only 17 and he has the behavior to come to Brussels to do an internship. So I think it's very inspiring his experience. So I will give you the floor, guys, and tell us about your personal experience. So doesn't matter who want to start. Raúl.
Okay, I'm going to be brief. I've been Erasmus student in Lublin, a medium city in Poland in 2018, and I will speak about 3 pillars of my Erasmus experience. I mean, 3 pillars that I learned and I could develop that pillars. Okay, the first pillars I would like to point out is the vital experience. I live in a small city in the south of Spain. It's called Jaén, and there is not the best city with which the greatest opportunity, and I didn't have the lucky to study abroad. So this was a big opportunity for me to go and study abroad and feel what is not studying in your city. So it has meaning to me, a really life vital experience, because you are moving out to another city and you are only alone. You are not with your father, with your mother, with your family. So it's indeed a huge vital experience. The second pillars I would like to talk about is the soft skill I learned during my Erasmus Plus. When you are living alone in another country and you have to speak in other language, with other coins, such as like the case of Poland, it's help you to develop plenty of soft skill, namely speaking public, develop yourself in English, looking for your day-to-day in one word. It's help you need to survive. So with the soft skill you learn in that situation, it will allow you to survive in a new atmosphere. So which is, I really learned there plenty of my soft skill now. I think I can manage a lot of problems and manage different things due to my Erasmus experience. And the last pillar I would like to point out is the academic learning, because we know that Erasmus Plus means fun and life and travel and hang out with your friend and so, but there are also an academic background, an academic experience, and I could learn a lot about international law, European law, and also about American law. I don't have a clue why is that useful for my degree, but I could say that I learned another different topics. So I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to study abroad as an Erasmus student. So we thought that of. I don't know if somebody, I observed that mostly of you went outside, but if you're not and you have the possibility to go with the master, for instance, I will encourage you to that experience indeed. Thank you so much.
Hello everybody, good afternoon. And Patricia says, my name is Alberto Pastor and I'm 17 years old. I was born in Madrid, is in Spain, but now I'm living in a small city in the north of Spain called Burgos. Today I come to tell you how I'm here today. It all started 2 years ago where I saw the opportunity in Burgos, which I could choose with my age, because it's so difficult to find an Erasmus program with less than the medium age. And I find the Erasmus Plus middle grade that in Burgos is only in one school. And after much dedication and effort, I was one of the few selected to live this experience, which has served me to both for my personal life and for my work life. I also want to comment a little bit about my experience in Finova. Although I perform different tasks in so many departments, but I mainly focus in finance and administration, which is what I have been trading in Burgos. And finally, I would like to thank you for attending this event, both in person and in streaming of the event. And vielen Dank für Ihren Comment. I think it's okay, and it was thank you in Germany.
Thank you, Raúl, Julia, and Alberto, for sharing with us your personal experience. And now I will give the floor to Juan Viesca, European Fund Director at Finova Foundation, to close this event. But first, remind please to sign the dancing that I am going to put in the outside, and don't forget that, please, because it's very important for us. So now, thank you guys, and Juan, you have the floor.
You can stay here if you want, it's no problem. Well, hello, good morning. My name is Juan Viesca. I'm also young as my colleagues here, okay? I think it's clear, okay? So thank you very much, all of you, for being here today. Quite happy to be in this closing event of this marvelous project. I think that we've been working a lot during a lot of months. We've been traveling, we've been knowing a lot of European institutions all around Europe. I think that we've been in European Central Bank, in different institutions here and in Brussels. I think that this project is quite important to transmit to the youth people the idea of what's the European Union and which are the European institutions and what they are doing nowadays, okay? Just trying to summarize the results of this project, I just want to transmit you two important ideas that reflects what we are working here today. First of all, the European Union, the whole institutions, is something that is really is complex. It's complex to transmit, it's complex to understand. Normally, I work a lot with young people, make a lot of training sessions, and I give speeches to young people, and I try to explain it as, do you know the film Star Wars? Star Wars, okay? Do you know the Federation? Hundreds of people in the Senate debating and trying to get common conclusion. So that's more or less the European Union. It's kind of working, it's difficult to understand, but it's quite important nowadays to understand what we are doing, okay? I don't know if you know the joke that many years before, the one president of the United States wanted to call the high representative of the European Union. He called his counselors, his assessors. I said, well, to whom I have to call? Which is the highest representative in the European Union? The President of the Commission? The President of the Parliament? The President of the Council? To whom you have to call? So it's a quite complex system, but I think that it works and it's really worthy to be in the European Union. Okay, so the idea of complexity, I think, is important. And also the second idea is that I don't know if you know the origins. You, as youth people, I don't know if you study the European Union in your schools or in your universities, but if I ask you what does the European Union represents to you, I suppose that all of you are going to say Erasmus Plus program. And the other name that all the people know, I'm not going to mention it here. Okay. If I ask another people, I'm sure that they are going to say that the European Union represents funding for projects, funding for infrastructures, funding for everything. But there's something very important that you don't have to forget. Please, Eduardo, can you put the... Do you know what's that? Who's that? There's Europe after the Second World War. Europe was completely devastated by a war. Okay? And two countries, Germany and France, at this moment decided to put together in a common structure the management of the production of steel and gas oil or carbon, okay? Because these materials were normally used for the war. And Germany and France, terrible enemies, they decided to put it together just to work together. And this is the origin of the European Union. The European Union is not a bank to fund projects. It's a project of peace. It's a project of solidarity. And you don't have to forget this, because the European Union was born just to avoid these kind of problems that now we are living with Russia, Ukraine, and all these things. So for you, the young people, you don't have to forget this. The European Union is a project of peace and solidarity. So for me, these are the most important ideas that you have to remember when we talk about the European Union. And I think that this is quite important for all the young people, just to have it in mind, and don't think that the European Commission is just traveling with Erasmus and finding things. Okay? So thank you very much, all of you. I don't know, Patricia, you want to say something?
Thank you, all of you, to be here, all the people who have been talking here, and you for attending this event, and also thank you, Interoffice, to allow us to do this event here. So now we can go for lunch because it's quite late.